cities, companies.
Пожалуй, является единственным инструментом.
Cybersecurity is the only tool that helps us to ensure stability and predictability of the digital world. What is cybersecurity and how to earn the money on it? We're going to talk with key people from Positive Technologies. You will see the people who actually with their own hands develop the products and services, who investigate hacker attacks, and who develop business, raise sales. We are online. We also work for you and for the online listeners. We have a QR code that will help you to ask your questions during the presentation. Please scan the code. The questions will be collected, and after the presentation, we are going to answer them. We'll have microphones in the hall, and you can ask your questions from the audience. So let's begin. Let's begin with what is happening in cybersecurity area. What kind of attacks we see? And this is the person who, with his own hands, takes parts in forensic activities. For example, he helped us recently to investigate the event in RuTube. Alexei Novikov, welcome.
День добрый.
Good afternoon. Really, the last 3 months, I sat down and calculated how many days did I have when I didn't work. 1 day in 3 months. The amount of sleep is about 3 to 4 hours a day. And this is the same story with all the people who, together with me, deals with monitoring investigations, who help our customers to make this world more secure. The number of applications grew by 3 times in comparison to the similar period of the previous year. And I would like to tell you about what is an incident, when penetrations happen and how they can influence us all. In 2014, we decided to build a new service, the analog of Google Analytics. The government agencies published that analog at their website. It was long ago, 2014, and the service was actually forgotten. Now, the hackers found it and broke through. And this picture appeared in all the sites who used that counter. This is an example of how digital security and digital recklessness produce such results. The next kind of incident can affect any of us. For many years, we have been talking about smart things, smart devices, refrigerators, controlled by internet or through the internet, and now imagine the same kind of refrigerator with the size of a football field, and it can be attacked by hackers. It happened a few months ago. The hackers broke through this refrigerators with 40 tons of foodstuff. The hackers found it and from minus 25 raised the temperature to plus 30, a bit more, and in a certain region we could have a food collapse because our cream would be bad instantly because someone neglected cybersecurity. Right now, any IP address which belongs to Russia is a potential target. Availability of the IP address in the Russian territory makes it a lucrative target for attacks. Right now, all those attacks, successful attacks, are
Придаваться широкая...
published to the maximum effect. That company was broke in, so leaks are published of ministries, government agencies, companies, to prove that there was a compromise there, that their IT system was compromised. A lot of data was leaked out of the company, including the mails of the users, including Telegram messages from their desktops and notebooks.
Мы как компания
We as a company investigate such incidents to understand how hackers attack the companies, what are the attack vectors and why they are successful. Only in real life, when counteracting such hackers in real life, you can build a product that would help others to
и не используем
rebuff attacks. Vulnerability manager was low, and we say, please install the patch. You didn't have the patch, you have an incident. In another case, logs were not collected and hacker traces were not monitors. We have such a solution. In the third case, traffic analysis and analysis of what is happening in infrastructure didn't take place. When someone downloaded 20 terabytes of your traffic,
они бы это обнаружили.
well,
Таким образом,
we can discover such attacks. We know all the vectors used by cyber criminals, and we have our experience of dealing with each and every vector of this kind to help the customers to disclose hackers on time. But products is not everything. Apart from products, you must have appropriate processes and people who can use our products in the right way, who understand what the products are about. And here we see the greatest problem. The key to success include two factors. First, the products capable of covering all the attack vectors, and second, the people. And we have the problem with the people, and my colleague is going to tell you about that part of the problem. He is developing the O2 product. Hi.
Всем привет.
Hi, everyone.
Алексей рассказал
Alexei told us about recent incidents. We all agree that they are not acceptable. And to make them impossible, we need a team of at least 25 skilled cybersec specialists. The first layer of defense, the second layer of defense, forensic specialists. For such companies as Sberbank has more than 20 cyber security specialists. In Russia, we have about 2,000 large companies, telecom, IT, manufacturing, government agencies, and each company has needs a team, like 2,000 people in Sberbank. So overall, we need 50,000 cybersecurity specialists in the market.
к сожалению,
Unfortunately, we have much fewer.
в России
We have only 1,000 instead of 50,000. We can cover only 40 companies out of 2,000.
Как никогда кто
And cybersecurity is an acute problem right now. We in Positive Technologies have an ambitious goal to build a principally new product, absolutely new product who could eliminate unacceptable attacks, who could work with all our products with the same efficiency, but operated by one person.
Он должен делать это автоматизированно.
It could work automatically.
В мире кибербезопасности.
It's an automatic cybersec product, and we have everything we need for that. We have the best hacker team,
Благодаря которой мы знаем, как
thanks to which we know how to compromise the companies, what kind of tools are used, what kind of actions are taken, and why they act this way and not the other way. We have an excellent team for monitoring and forensic research, which helps us to develop the right technologies to disclose hackers, which we use in our products.
плюс ко всему,
Besides, we have a powerful developer team, and we already created a number of successful products. Max Patel OCM is the leader in Russia. In 2015, when we entered the market,
конкурентным,
it was a highly competitive and mature market. According to IDC,
топ-20,
it's one of the top 20 worldwide CM solutions. We're one of the 3 leaders with the most impressive dynamic of sales growth. Another product, Application Firewall, from release 1 became a Gartner visionary in the Gartner quadrant. Network Attack Discovery, when we developed it, there were no such solutions at all. Today, it's a mainstream, according to the Gartner, and the main technology for any monitoring center.
Так, немножко сбился.
So, sorry.
Так вот, давайте
Let us look
у нас O2.
at where O2 is located now. Let me tell you about automatic pilots. So first, proof of concept. Engine, when we can stop on time. Then a long story, a long process with a lot of data. Then we go to the street.
И после этого в завершении
Short route, and then longer routes, and then you can order a pilotless taxi. O2,
нашим
a year ago at our 10th Positive Hack Days, we presented our concept
использовали его
of Max O2. We used it for a year, collected data, deployed different algorithms, changed some modules. Now
проводим киберучение,
we are carrying out cyber exercises with an external team
в котором также используем O2.
where we use O2. And you can get acquainted with the exercises in the main hall.
Следующий важный шаг
The next step that we are approaching is first pilots
вместе с нами.
with the customers, with our assistance, and to conclude, another
На стороне заказчика.
step would be cyber exercises on infrastructure of the customer by the infrastructure. Why do we need cyber exercises? Yaroslav is going to tell you about that. Hi.
Упс, что сломалось.
Sorry, something is wrong.
Смотрите, предположим,
Look, for example,
бизнес купил
business bought products, deployed them, tuned all the cybersec processes, has hired forensic specialists,
как убедить
but how to be sure that by using all those things the company cannot be
хакеры не могут
penetrated, that hackers cannot deploy unacceptable scenarios. So the first way is to wait until the first attack takes place and see what happens in real life.
Второй способ
Second way is to carry out cyber exercises. Call the hackers
продемонстрировать.
who will demonstrate whether your business is protected or not. Can it repulse hacker attacks? You can call 10 hackers, you can call 20, 50 hackers, but each hacker has his own tools, his background, his ways on how to approach the system to break through.
Поэтому
And that is why you don't need 50 hackers, but 1,000 or better 2,000.
но как их собрать?
But how to collect them, how to find them,
Пока
people who will come and demonstrate your vulnerability without telling anybody else about them.
у вас были вот такие-то уязвимости, мы
If they will say, well, you have such and such vulnerabilities, we got access to such and such data, please close the gaps. And you close that. How to collect this kind of community? We are a hacker company. We carry out this positive hack days from 2008. We carry out exercises from 2016. We had 9 of them. And the targets of the hackers during the exercises is to demonstrate how unstable the cyber world is. They come and they break banks, manufacturing enterprises, government agencies. Hackers are capable not only to find some minor errors, but they can stop industrial processes and put your business to an end. Now we have standoff right now in the main hall.
команды хакеров.
You have hacker teams there, and we have about 160 ethical hackers, cybersecurity specialists, it's better to say it this way. But we want to go on and make another step. We developed, and today we present the Back Bounty platform,
Сделать так, чтобы
which makes it possible for the business to ask hackers to come and demonstrate how protected or unprotected the infrastructure is.
поэтому
That is why
киберзащищенность
the cybersecurity way is
учения
goes through cyber exercises and cyber hackers taking part in those exercises. Look, in a technological company like Positive Technologies, people are the main asset. The people who carry out research and development of the products that are successful in the market. As Alexei said, the modern world is very vulnerable, and even refrigerators can be attacked, and the whole region may suffer. So that's why it's important to have people in every company, people capable of protecting the infrastructure against such potentially dangerous penetrations. What does the world of cybersecurity now? Web application firewalls, antiviruses, CMs, a lot of things. But what is next? Next, automation of dealing with hacker attacks. Imagine what kind of flood we have now, and the Russian economy is very interesting for international hackers. How can we deal with that? Through automation alone, and we don't have any examples of such automation. It's a revolutionary step that happened with a motor car. So we had to know how to deal with the engine, how to run it. Now we just press the button and we have the driverless cars. It's a true revolution. Max Patrol O2 is our revolutionary product. O2 means disclose and stop the attack before it causes you an unacceptable damage. It's a principal revolutionary step. How to check? Even if you have an automatic cybersecurity product, how to check whether your infrastructure is really protected? Only through real cyber exercises based on your infrastructure. And that's why we carry out our standoffs and announce the Back Bounty program. It's a platform for the company which helps everyone to come to install their product on that platform and break your product for your benefit, for your good, for you to learn and to make your product more secure. What do we do with all our expertise, technologies and products? How successful are we? Maxim Filipov, he's a person who feels every ruble in the market of cybersecurity. Hello. When I was listening to the speakers, I saw they are technical people, but now I'll have a more difficult presentation than theirs. Look, last year our business strategy, the previous one, came to an end. We wanted to have double growth every 2 years. So 248 billion rubles revenues. We started when our revenues were about 2 billion. In 3 years, we implemented that strategy. So we have to adopt a new one. So we doubled in 3 years. We want to double in 1 year. We need to build the business in such a way. We need such technologies that would help us to double every year. They said, Max, your target is to come and explain why we are going to achieve that goal. We achieve by dividing. If a person is sincere and he is going to do his job, we shall reach the target. Salesforce took the responsibility and we are going to be successful. So at this point I could have ended my presentation, but this is too little. We have to tell you what are the main drivers of our business success. I sat down and put them down on paper. We have more than 20. I have only 10 minutes, so I prepared top 5. For my expert opinion, they are the main drivers that are going to help us succeed. So let's start. Number 1, what we see in the market now, what Alexei Novikov said. In the last 3 months, he didn't sleep or he didn't work for 1 day only, and he sleep 3 to 4 hours a day. Our hackers do the same, Dima Serebryanikov and all the others. We see growing demand. In Q1, you can see protection analysis by 2 times, forensic activities by 3 times, risk-oriented projects by 5 times. What do I mean by risk-oriented? For example, the customer feels bad. A certain critical business process is down. He says, please do something. I want to leave. Or he comes before hand, I am attacked, I am afraid of unacceptable losses, please help me. It's a good driver for us, the main one. Why? Historically, positive technologies at such points when something unacceptable happens with the customer,
Про деньги.
we're not talking about the money. We're not saying that we're going to help you, but you have to pay this much. We just help him.
Мы прям жадные.
On the one hand, because yes, we are greedy. We understand it. We understand new kinds of hacker attacks, new vulnerabilities that we use in our products and capitalize. But due to the fact that customers are happy, and Alexei and Dima are skilled ones, and they say, the customers say, thank you. But then we commercialize that thank you through selling our products and services. And we get a lot of revenues as a result. And we see the growing demand on our experts, and it means better capitalization. This is trend number one. Second,
Вы знаете, первый
security focus on result. On May 1, we saw the presidential decree about digital security. Historically, cybersec industry. So the main driver was normative basis. Unless we have a law, unless we are held responsible, we are not going to do anything. Now the situation is different. Everyone is working without waiting for this decree because there is no other way. Look, by January 1, 2025, any security solutions of non-friendly countries must be prohibited.
сняли кому-то экспертизы. не-
That's clear why. Somebody haven't got the products, others lost their licenses, yet others have no support. For us, this story is more important than just a regulation. Why? Because, as you know, we've heard a message from the market that people are not happy with information cybersecurity. And about 3 years ago, we had this concept born in our company that we called Information Security 2.0. Let me remind you, if you're hearing about this for the first time, firstly, make the goal of your cybersecurity to make inadmissible business events impossible. This should be the goal of cybersecurity. It's not about implementing projects or technologies. Just call an inadmissible event and make it impossible.
Невозможно назвать эти
It's impossible to name these events without being in dialogue with the number one in the company. And this decree, in our opinion, is a movement in this direction. It's about the industry has partly moved in the direction of the philosophy that we have proposed. It says that in all companies, deputy CEOs should appear responsible for incidents.
компании, которые под-
And in addition to that, the list of companies to which the decree applies are measured in hundreds of thousands. As to the deadline, 1st of January 2025, a lot of people are saying, how come? I mean, there's a long time. Why so long? Implementing a system in information security or a separate technology is quite a lengthy process. So, in our opinion, the year 2025 is a very short time.
2.0 и у-
Information Security 2.0 and the President Decree and the regulations that turn towards practical security are the drivers for our business. Number two. The driver number three. It's about our meta-product concept. There's a certain methodology and philosophy in admissible events, making them impossible, and there's some technical solution that allows making this methodology work in real life. You've seen the status of readiness of the O2 release where we are. We, myself personally, I'm expecting the technical release by the end of this year. So far, this story is collected collected manually, but we need to have a commercial release. Why are you drawing up O2 here if you don't even have a commercial release of this product? Let me explain. Look, the Positive Technology salespeople are not people who sell products. They sell ideas and meanings. They are bringing ideas to the industry. They are selling these ideas and meanings to customers. And then there's a question where to move. We are prepared to take up this guidance. This is right. But what to do next? And we're saying yes. Yes, and they say, well, okay, where's the technical release? You're drawing O2 for us, but it's not yet in existence. In order that the O2 product should correctly function in the customer infrastructure, it needs to have an enriched context that is uploaded from other products that we have at the bottom. And so we found this script. Let's start by putting sensors and other positive products in your infrastructure. And it's also a process that takes quite a lot of time. So basically, we're preparing the customer's infrastructure for the emergence of this meta product. And this is the driver that, pushes our business even now. Number 4 is not going away. It's about our new products that we launch quite regularly. The latest 3, VM, was released last year. We already have more than 10 implementations. XDR was released earlier this year, or late last year, and the first pilots this year. And Bug Bounty is being announced today. We already have customers. In the current situation, they got hooked to the HackerOne service, but because of the current event, they can no longer use the service, and they came to Positive Technology to say, Positive, can you do something? We need that. Okay, you're welcome. Tomorrow, we are launching the Bug Bounty platform, and all customers will be able to use it. Why all these new products are so important? Why am I saying that it's one of the top 5 drivers for Positive? Because talking from the business perspective, we are entering a technology segment where we had not existed earlier. And looking forward, we're only going to expand. So all the technology segments that Positive has been playing, in the next 2 or 3 years, we are either to become a business leader in this segment, or we are becoming one of other such leaders. So the story of new products for Positive is extremely important. It was driver number 4. Driver number 5. My expert assessment. I assess the total information security markets of 2021 at the level of 200 billion rubles. The list of companies that left the Russian market is on the right. And by the way, it's a month old. I think it's going to be longer if you take the information as of today. I assess the released market size at 80 million. What's going to happen? Frankly, I'm not sure whether the market is going to grow or go down, and the challenge is not there. So the fight will not be about the growth of the total addressable market, but the segment released accounts for 40% of total market, and now the fight is going to happen in the segment of that used to be controlled by Western vendors that left the Russian market. And this trend is
Я вам уже
exacerbated by the president's decree that I was talking about. Top 5, how has it impacted the Positives business? So this is the freshest data, the results of Q1 2022. Our business year-on-year has grown 3 times. This is the sales volume, the revenue, what we've already sold.
вы меня спросите, что
You're going to ask me what's going to come next. Is it going to grow as fast? No. I will say the peak has been passed. From April and May, we already see a certain decline against this growth, of course. But on the whole, our forecasts today are at the level of X2, twice, doubling the result of the previous calendar year.
рассказ был бы, наверное,
My story would probably not be honest enough and not complete enough had I concentrated your opinion only on these 5 drivers.
может сложиться.
Because you might get an impression that we are, champions of cybersecurity. Everything is going itself into our hands, and the only thing is to catch all these new opportunities. I
Основной, как бы,
honestly believe that the main factor to achieve success is in internal changes. We, as a company, are changing within ourselves to address a next level objective. So we need to change to grow twice on the previous year. This slide is not totally true. This slide is about numbers, but we need to see meanings and approaches changed. We are changing them. We are changing ourselves. See, we have new roles in our company. For instance, there are product business leaders appearing in the company now. We have 8 people like that. Who are these people? These are people who are responsible for the commercial success of separate products. If the Positive sales force is responsible for the happiness of the end user and the financial results from the customer, then these guys, they are responsible for the product financial response.
стратегически.
And by the way,
Положа руку на сердце,
frankly, Positive has
прямо очень восторг.
now become a very touted employer in the cybersecurity market. Let me list companies to you where we have been able to attract strong people over the past 3 months. Microsoft, Cisco, IBM,
Это нет.
Palo Alto Networks, SAP, and we are taking very proficient guys from them. It's not a full list, by the way. We as a Positive have become a very attractive employer. We can take the best from the labor market,
По сути, формат,
and we can
что так
make them believe in our goals and values, and then we can make sure that we achieve the results. So you may ask, why do we need such a great growth in headcount? For instance, we've got twice as many salespeople now. Look, the answer is quite simple. Several years ago, we only had 1 product for the enterprise market, and there were up to 1,000 customers per 1 salesperson. Well, the product was simple. You only need to do the paperwork. Now, we have set a task for every Positive salesperson, not only to sell a product to the customer, but also to achieve the goals. For this, you need to sell the idea and the goal. Set the idea, set the goal to make inadmissible events impossible. You have 15 products in the market, and to do such thorough work in a single customer, if you have to work with 1,000 customers, is just impossible. So our main
заказчик,
concept is that either we have 1 salesperson or for 1 customer, or even we have cases where we have several salespeople for 1 customer, because that requires a lot of thorough work. because you need to implement new ideas. And so, in my opinion, achieving the result is only possible through work distribution. And I think that it's making people within the company believe in our goals and values. And so this is the main driver for our business strategy. So our business strategy is X2. Thank you. That's it. All I had to say. Thank you, Max. It's quite curious. In my understanding of a person responsible for sales and commerce, quite often these are people with no principles at all, so who would do anything to grab the money from the market. But as you've noticed, Maxim talks a lot about making people share the goals and values that they're working for, which makes this approach very different. Because if you, as a person responsible for development of sales, if you have shining eyes, then your attitude to the customer will be absolutely different, and the customer's attitude to you will also be different. Maxim told us what kind of money we are getting from the market, and Alla Makarova, our CFO, will tell you how within Positive our financial component is structured. Thank you. Hello. Happy to greet you all here. My name is Alla Makarova. I'm responsible for finance in Positive. Let's continue talking in the language of numbers. I think Max has set a very good direction for our today's presentation. I'd like to continue. I'd like to show you in a bit more detail, in numbers, how all these developments directions will be converted into the growth of financial indicators of Positive, and as a result in the growth of the market capitalization. Once again about sales, Max told a lot, but I would like to focus, because indeed, perhaps it's the key factor of our success. It's something that drives all of our development, and it's important that the direction that we're setting should be implemented, doubling our business 3, 6, 4, 8, 12, and you can easily continue this mathematical sequence. Suppose that this trend stays, this dynamic stays, and we're hoping for that a lot. The ambition that we are setting for ourselves to achieve the market share in the addressable market of 50%, it does not seem too high. It seems to be quite achievable, and we're going there. The successful results of Q1 confirm the positive forecast, and we're hoping that this year our sales will be between 12 and 15 billion rubles, which will help us to grow the revenue. So what's important for us regarding revenue? Historically, we have been developing as a vendor. We were focusing on the sales of licenses, and if you take a previous period, like for instance 2018, the share of our product licensing revenue was about 82% of our portfolio, and then it has gradually grown. Last year it was 85. This year we are setting a target of making it 90%. It doesn't mean that the revenue from services is going down. In absolute terms, it is growing, because our services in information security and in monitoring that Alexei talked about, pen test services, extended support, developing hardware and software solutions, they're all part of our business. And of course, they are all needed for the development of our products. In the first place, we're doing it to improve our expertise and to bring this expertise into our products. But still, as a vendor, we are setting a strategy of growing the sales of our products, because this is a higher margin business, and it will give us a growth of a gross income up to 90% looking forward. An important factor of Positive's financial success is that we are an operationally efficient company. We always controlled our costs, and for us it's important that the rate of growth of our costs have not been overstepping the growth of revenues. This said, we have been developing quite fast. We have been adding the head count. This year we have a record-breaking number of vacancies, about 300. In the past year, we've been actively investing in marketing, pre-sale activities, sales support, PR. But it's important that with this, we have maintained a high operating profitability. The operating income before EBITDA in the previous year was 2.9 billion rubles, and the profitability on this indicator achieved 41%. So, considering our strategy and the plans for this year, we expect that EBITDA will achieve 4 to 6 billion. We're hoping to bring the profitability up to 40 to 45%. And in the midterm horizon, we set an aim to bring profitability to 50%. It all makes Positive one of the most successful companies, not only in Russia, but also among Western cybersecurity companies. It is important that we maintaining quite a high level of investment in product development. Based on the results of the year 2021, our capital investment and R&D investment comprised 1.3 billion rubles, and this year we're planning to grow it by 30 to 35%. We believe it's important, so we are going to keep developing our technologies, the products that will form parts of the holistic cybersecurity solution. But this said, we also maintain the free cash flow. In Q1 this year, the cash flow has grown by 70%, and we are expecting it to maintain this way until the end of this year. We also do that keeping the debt quite low, so the net debt has gone down to 0.2, 0.3. So it all allowed us to pay out the dividend for the previous year. The dividend was paid last week. And considering the interim dividends that were paid last year, the total payout was 1.3 billion. In conclusion, I would also like to sum up what my colleagues have said earlier. What's important to understand the main factors of a Positive success and why we are and are going to remain an investment attractive company. Positive is an established visionary in information security. We have a huge product lineup, we have unique expertise, and our meta products are exactly the response to the ask, the demands that are being shaped in the current realities in the world where threats are growing and requirements for information security are also growing. We are already a market leader. We have a strong competitive position. We work with a lot of customers, but because we keep transforming our sales system, we keep investing in growth. We also have a huge potential for growing even more. We are working in the growing market, and the information security market in Russia, I'm hoping, is one of the most dynamic today. And we are hoping that this dynamic will stay. Positive Technologies also has a huge untapped export potential. We are a profitable company and financially stable company. We receive support as an IT company from the government in terms of tax breaks and preferences for lending, preferences for our employees. It all allows us to invest more and more dynamically in R&D, keeping up the pace of our product and solution development. And most importantly, we are a public company and positive shareholders. Almost all our employees are as shareholders. We have a huge motivation for company development and growth. Therefore, we believe that we're going to be successful. Thank you. Thank you. These are very clear and exciting investment attractiveness factors, but I would also be interested how these factors impact the interest of investors to positive shares. How it looks in practice, Maxim Pustovoy, the COO, will tell us. Max, over to you. So my part of the presentation is almost the last one. It's about how Positive feels itself and will feel itself as a public company listed in the exchange. It's been almost half a year that we've got listed. Yes, I have some numbers, some graphs, some indicators. I could start with that, showing how great we are. But I would rather make a step back to December 2021 to recall why we at Positive decided to get listed in the exchange. Because everything that Max and Alla were talking about, guys from R&D and experts, about our financial indicators, it would all have been the same had we been a public company or had we not. There are two reasons why we decided to go to the market. Well, they were like this. We want Positive to turn from a company of 12 to 1,300 people, but we wanted to become a company, part of which could be purchased by any investor in Russia or even worldwide. We want to have co-investors, co-participants in the broadest range of people who understand that the IT industry, and more than that, more narrow segment, cybersecurity, is exciting. It's exciting in essence. It's exciting in terms of investment, and they would like to be part of it. We wanted that Positive should expand from a company having 1,200 or 1,300 people that expand to encompass anyone who would like to be part of it. That was the first goal. And the second goal was to make it so that Positive and its shares should be liquid, should be justly valuated, so that Positive shares could be used to reward people who are bringing value to improve the company capitalization. But the world has not invented another mechanism to achieve these two goals, rather than going to the stock exchange. So coming back to the first goal, have we been able to grow our family, to extend the Positive perimeter? I remind you that at the moment of the trading start, the owners of shares that got to the exchange were our employees at that time, and about 200 former employees that took part in the development of Positive. So in total, about 1,400 people. But what happened next? So this is the point that we started at. And actually, every month, of course, we have to deduct the month where the exchange didn't work. The number of our shareholders was growing by 10,000 people. 10,000 people a month. As of the middle of April, we had 44,000. We don't have exact data as of today, but I think it's more than 50,000. Today, Positive is one of the most diverse in terms of private investment companies in Russia, and this only in 6 months. Somebody at the beginning of the story told us, look, 100,000 is kind of a cosmic number. You're going to have 100,000 shareholders. You can believe yourself to be part of the very utmost leaders. I don't see it as a very aggressive goal. This is not the goal that we're prepared to look forward to. Of course, we'll break through this level and go forward. How many private investors are there in Russia? I think it's about several million, I think, that, right? 2 or 3 million. Well, there's a difference, active or not active. So 1 million is a normal measure, how many investors we want to have. And so what about valuation? Is it just? Is it fair? Has the market valued Positive? Here you see two graphs. The first is the cost of shares. The price of shares is dynamic. The low one is the overall index of Moscow Exchange. So how most companies operating in the Moscow Exchange, Moscow Stock Exchange operating. You see that there's a single point where everything went down. It's clear. It's the end of February. But after that, Positive shares have not only recovered their value, but we actually entered the price of 700 rubles. That was the first part of the graph. They grew. Today, I think they're at 950, 960 rubles. Yes, the market has appreciated Positive. I don't know if the price is fair, but what we see is that the market is valuing Positive shares better than that of those of other companies working the market. And there's a clear rationale for that. Positive is the only public company from cybersecurity that's traded in the exchange. The market is growing. And the market is not really growing about the political event. It's been growing for several years, faster than the overall IT market growth. Yes, we see a huge growth of demand for cybersecurity tools and services from all companies, large and small, and specifically from our customers, large enterprises. Yes, we've already said that foreign vendors have left the Russian market. This is not yet the end of the story. This outflow is going on. It will end somewhere. And of course, Positive is one of the biggest beneficiaries there, because it's product companies that are leaving and not service companies, because main business for Positive is to sell products. We see an unprecedented support of the government for IT companies, and not all IT companies have such preferences as Positive has. It's not enough to be an IT company to be entitled to all the benefits. You have to be a company, most parts of the revenue of which are product sales. A service company is not getting all the preferences that the government provides. Positive is one of the few main beneficiaries here.
We talked at the previous session that Positive ambitions are not limited to Russia and CIS. The world is divided into 3 geopolitical blocks: the West with its cybersecurity, China, and the rest of the world. The rest of the world is our ambition, where we are going to grow and sell our solutions for governments, for industries, for nations as a whole. The temporary problem is that among our customers we don't have foreign investors. Many Russian companies have falling market shares because foreign investors were leaving. We didn't have foreign investors, and as a result, our market stock price didn't fall down. And we are continuously in dialogue with investors. We work in different channels in social media, among brokers and banks, wherever we can talk to investors. Launch Q&A sessions, online sessions, and such meetings as today. In our point of view, this is a factor of success that is going to push our stock market, our market price higher and higher. Dividends. So, from the moment of IPO, we are tortured about dividends. Why dividends? Our dividend policy is published in the website, and we committed to pay most part of the net profit as dividends. We don't need it. The share price goes up, and that is their main interest. But from our point of view, we have a vicious circle when we have a lot of companies, IT companies, who are growing fast, and they work in debt. And whether the debt is going to be paid for or not. We know what is happening at the stock market, and we shall see who is going to survive and who is not. The company is successful, and it shouldn't be fast growing only. It should be profitable. As soon as we have profits, we want to share profits with the shareholders. We're not going to sit on the heap of money. After all the investments, after all the marketing activities, we have good net profits, and we're going to share that net profit with the shareholders. And finally, we are in the top league of the cybersec companies in Russia. We are successful, but we are not in the top league of the public company. We are only 6 months old. We are not well known. This year, our main effort will be at entering the top league of the public companies. We want to get into the first top list in the Moscow Stock Exchange. We must confirm our positive evaluation, and we want to be written about not by bloggers but by respectable banks and investment companies, where maximum open and transparent. Many public companies are closing data. They do not publish their reports. We commit to publishing our reports. We want to be the most open and transparent public company in Russia, to raise our evaluations, raise our liquidity and free capital flow, and we'll get into the top league of the public companies in future. Thank you. And to conclude our presentation, I invite here a person who was hired more than 10 years ago. He started as a white ethical hacker, then developed a lot of products. Now he is a general director, Denis Baranov. Hi everyone, thank you for sitting until the very end. I think it wasn't very boring. We took more than an hour of your time. I would like to tell you about 2 points. Point 1. Such companies like Positive are done by the team, and we wanted to present our team. But we have more technical specialists, standoff specialists, developers. You could see them in the hall. But the second point, why do you need all that? Because in the investment track, we could have a different hall without torturing you with all our abbreviations, CDMs, and blah, blah, blah. But the idea was, as we announced a year ago, when we talked about our IPO, we want to see in our community most of the technical people that you saw from our company here, they are our shareholders. We want to see the people, the investors, who not only look at the companies as the milk cow, who try to speculate with our shares, but they want to understand the company, understand how it is going to grow long term. So I would like to thank you all for coming and staying here and learning about our company. Thank you. Thank you. Denis? Positive Technologies, for 20 years, we've been building solutions that are applicable to any organization. At the end of 2021, we had direct IPO, which is very open now. We became the first public company in the cybersec industry in Russia. We have 15 products and many services in our portfolio, and we can say that by the end of 2022, our shares will cost as much as you believe in Russian CyberSec, our secure ticker. So this is the way we evaluate the share of our, the price of our shares at the end of the year. Now we'll have a Q&A session. We have a lot of questions. We'll make a 2-minute break. Please keep your seats, and you'll be able to ask your questions from the hall.
Positive Technologies. Мы первая и единственная кибербез-компания.
Сейчас я напишу.
We are the only public company in the Russian cybersec industry. We've been in the market for 20 years. We have more than 2,300 enterprise customers working in all the industries of this company. We have 15 products. The key ones are growing in a stable way, but the new ones, like Max Petrol 8, are quite serious, and they are going to improve our position in the market. Our business is doubling every 3 years. Our revenues exceed 7 billion rubles. We have one of the highest EBITDA among high-tech companies in Russia. Our stable growth ensures good revenues, which makes it possible for us to pay good dividends. We are the only IT company that has a certain stable dividend policy and commits to regular dividend payments. We are positive about the future. New reality gives us additional impetus for growth. Today, cybersecurity is the key requirement for business and industry. In the new reality, in December 2021, we had an IPO in the Moscow Stock Exchange through direct listing. Now we have more than 44,000 private investors. Investment in cybersecurity in Russia is positive. We are sure about our future. Join our community.
Как все-таки микрофончик.
Microphone, please.
Как все-таки здорово, как
How good it is to see nice pictures.
ровно за то время, пока у нас крутился. Смотрите, у нас есть
Look, we have several questions from the chat. I am going to ask two of them, and then you'll be able to ask your questions. We have a group of questions about licensing policy. What is the licensing model of the company? Indefinite or definite? What is the average term of the license? Let me answer quickly. What is the licensing model of the company?
По-моему, вопросы в расшифровку.
There is another question.
Ну, то есть читай вопрос.
Please read the next question. Do please. The next question is about the licensing policy. Yes.
лицензии на продукты без срока.
Licensing, indefinite,
Понимаешь, что это такое? Это лицензия.
definite. So we sell a license for a certain term, and after a certain term, it becomes nothing. So the customer has to stop to use the product.
Каков средний срок лицензии?
What is the average term?
90%.
90% of licenses are for 1 year.
На процентов, наверное,
About 8%
лицензии.
are 3-year licenses,
Оставшиеся 2%.
and the remaining 2% are flexible. Some people say 13 months, others say 6 months, so we satisfy them. Floating term. Now,
Как называются продажи по сроку действия лицензии?
how are the sales related to MSFO?
Сказал.
I told you about the share, about MSFO. Let Allah say, licenses in MSFO are reflected when the license term starts. And it is not the sales date, because some products are deployed for a long time. It may be a long project. It may take several months, and sales may take place this year, and the license and the right to use our product, the start of the licensing period, can start with a lag of several months. That is why we have this time gap. When you see our sales, it's higher. From 5 to 10% of sales are moving to the next period, and some sales are recognized gradually along the entire term.
Было интересно послушать.
It was interesting to listen to the presentation, but as an investor, I am interested in risks. The growth driver was only one: government. Sanctions against unfriendly countries and regulatory pressure, and you cannot buy foreign cybersec tools. But I believe in the future. I believe that the current situation is temporary. What is happening, what is going to happen next? Let's imagine that positive will work for many years, and the situation is going to change, and competition will come back. What are you going to do then? And the product without competition usually becomes weaker. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now positive is expensive. It costs 29 a year revenues, the average price for Russia is 4.5, and imagine that all the sanctions will go at once. What will happen to your company? Of course, revenues are there. Cybersec market has a lot of inertia, but what about share prices? It's a good question. I was thinking about risks. Let me answer your questions.
Я вижу их два.
I see two main risks. The first one,
Бюджетами нехороший творится наш.
budgets of the customers. Budgets will be confiscated. They wouldn't have the money to spend on cybersec, and this risk can be mitigated by the presidential decree, because it demonstrates the vector. We need responsibility. We're going to invest, and you have to have special roles, and one of the roles is about incident response. So I think the customers will have budgets. And the second risk is about hardware. As you know, now we have lack of hardware. New logistical channels are yet to be developed.
Программные продукты.
Our software need hardware basis. On the one hand,
Имеем запас железа.
we have some hardware reserves, and that is true. We have enough hardware for several more months. Then we want to adapt our products and sell our products through services.
К нам пришла куча компаний.
We have a lot of companies who say we want to sell services on the basis of your products. Please, we need special licenses. We're not going to sell licenses. We're going to sell services. Then our products may be in the cloud, and the customer wouldn't think about installing new hardware. He gets service from the cloud.
Через это мы
Through that, we're going to mitigate the second risk. Your third question was about the future. What is going to happen if the sanctions will go and the competition will come back? Yes.
3 раза отвечал на этот вопрос.
I gave 3 answers to that question today in different sections. You have a family doctor who knows all your ailments. He went away, quarreled with you, and he told the entire community about your illnesses. Then he comes back and says, sorry, my fault. In cyber security, the issue of trust is key. The events demonstrated that this risk is not hypothetical, it's real.
Для коммерческой компании
For a commercial company, for Positive Technologies, for instance, and I hope for most of you, the top asset is our customers, and we are not ready to sacrifice our customers. We don't want to play geopolitics.
политический вет
We have some geopolitical winds, and you go.
оказывается не ценностью номер один.
And your top value is not in your customers. And there is one more factor.
Быстрое
Why
возвращение.
do I not believe in rapid return of the competition?
Вопрос внедрения
Deployment,
технологий.
implementation of those technologies, it takes a lot of effort. Then it affects
Системы
the systems that are integrated in the security infrastructure. Replacement of any product which is deeply integrated in the system is very expensive, and it takes a lot of time.
на территории Российской Федерации
Why
замес.
did we talk about import substitution?
Государство
Why are we against? We said the government doesn't understand the cost. The government doesn't evaluate the risk properly. If we can avoid import substitution, we are not going to substitute import. And we see that the risks were not hypothetical, and we are all running now without any presidential decrees. We start replacing and substituting imported goods. Within several years, we're going to substitute import, and it's a long-term story. It will take decades, even if those people and companies would like to come back to the market of Russian Federation. There is an interesting marker here, an interesting indication. Government companies with government capital are inert. Commercial companies, large commercial companies, move faster. And the things which happen from the moment of the withdrawal of the Russian of the foreign companies, commercial companies came to us who are not regulated, who are not under licensing. They just came to us because they know that they can earn their money here. Regulator factor is not the main driver.
Он прям очень значим.
I disagree with you. It's important. That is true. But the main driver is what is happening in the market now. I hope I answered all your questions. And there was one more question about your revenue.
Смотри, то есть я чуть-чуть по-другому, наверное, отвечу на
Share price to revenue ratio.
венture в области кибербезопасности.
How are we going to develop without competition that we used to have?
Когда вот разрабатываешь.
Yes, when we developed our product application firewall, we sent it to Gartner because we had powerful international ambitions. We have always been competing against Palo Alto, Impera, F5 and others.
И тут сейчас вот это вот
And now that part of competition disappeared, vanished. How are we going to develop on?
кибербезопасность.
The cybersec industry is different from many other ones. You can compare Viber, WhatsApp, and Telegram by the number of users. But
Драйвер
technological driver for our products is the capability of product to repulse cyber attack. Our product, Kaspersky product, we have competition inside the country.
если в России
If in Russia
токсичность
we continue to have such toxic environment,
портится в
internet attacks against refrigerators,
То есть запрос к нашим
against RooTube, the demand to our product would be stimulated by those attacks.
кибератаки, то и у
If we have cyber attacks, the level of the product will be sufficient to counteract such attacks. The multipliers. First of all, evaluation of our capitalization, share price. We compared it, we did it in December last year.
Не то чтобы она сильно
It isn't much higher now. The potential of growth is ahead.
прогноза этого,
If we look the forecasts for this year,
прогнозов этого уже года 22-го,
2022, it's not 27. It's less than 20, 17 perhaps, 15. Look at our forecasts.
компания росла
The company grew before all kind of geopolitical events by 40% a year. We doubled
можно сказать, по идее, капитализация.
in capitalization every 2 years. very high growth rate, even without the leaving of the foreign vendors, additional demand for cybersecurity. The company would demonstrate high growth rates, even if all the competitors stay. We always competed until recently up to 60% of products of any large government-owned or private company, 60% of products were foreign, and we competed with them all the way for 20 years that we are in the market.
Such a deep question. Are there any questions from the audience, or shall I read from the chat feed? Yes, please. I have two questions, if you allow. One short and one a bit longer. The short question is about the dividend. I heard that the company is willing to pay out dividends. Are there any plans regarding changing the policy, for instance, to pay out dividends every quarter, as it happened at best practices, or this would be paid out once a year, twice a year? Let me answer. We are not closing this opportunity for us. It's clear that the dividend related to our operating activities and net cash flow can be paid once a year. But if we see that we are able to pay them more frequently, we'll do that. This is a specificity of not only Positive, but other companies that has a diversified customer portfolio, stable cash flow. And the specificity is that half of the revenues, we get it in Q4. So, roughly speaking, to understand how we're going to close the fiscal year, we can only do that in Q4. So for me, as one of the Positive top managers, would seem quite strange to make a decision to pay out the dividend in the interim points before we understand how we're going to finish the fiscal year. So largely speaking, we are going to understand it in November or December. So a more or less accurate forecast of our financial result appears at that time. So if you ask me, Max, when do you want to pay out the dividend? I said, hey guys, let's wait for the moment when we understand the results. That would be an honest answer from me. May I add? Just for the balance, yes. As part of our dividend policy, we focus on this effective balance. On the one hand, we have good profits. We don't want to lose momentum in our development. And if our debt level allows that, if it's low, if we see a positive forecast for the further growth of sales, so theoretically we would be prepared to make a decision to pay interim dividends. It's just like we did last year in Q4. But Max is absolutely right. The main decision will be forming our expectations at the end of the year. So Q4 and Q1 next year. Yeah, nice. Curious. One company, three opinions. And then the question. It's about your desire to get in the top league of companies. If I understand correctly, now you have about 18 or 11.8 or 10.8% of the. How to improve it in order to get into some indices? Are you going to sell some shares by the main shareholders? Let me take this question. Technically, the company has only two ways to improve the free float. It's indeed about secondary sales. Somebody is selling the existing shares. Or it could be an additional issue. Additional issue is a difficult topic because it works against the existing shareholders. And of course, we do not want to do that. An additional issuance is only possible if we're growing really fast. And for a small fraction of this growth, we can cover it with additional stock issue. So the answer is yes. If we see that the free float is a limitation to what can affect our liquidity, for instance, it's not growing because the free float is not large enough. So technically, we can consider SPO, that's additional sales. But here, the goal would be to grow the free float to assure liquidity in the interest of the existing shareholders, I mean external shareholders, those tens of thousands of people, because an increase in free float will affect the capitalization and the price of shares. Thank you. Let me read out one question from the chat feed, and now come back again to the room. How strongly the company is suffering from the new round of sanctions? So this is the question: how strongly is the company suffering from the new round of sanctions? An unexpected question. So let me take it. I don't know. Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't like the word beneficiary. Yes, the company is really winning from the new round of sanctions. Going on? Well, why don't I hear the applause? Okay, any questions from the floor, from the room? No, it's just the question about the sanctions was from myself. I decided to take up the microphone. I meant the risks. For instance, there's no hardware to sell your products to customers. Or how will your internal operations suffer from that? How can the company suffer from what's happening in the world indirectly? The question is clear. These risks, we as a company has worked through in half one of the previous year, as if you remember. One of the companies belonging to the group has come under sanctions. At that time, we ran into all these risks, like technology limitations, access limitations, things like that. So we had to reassemble the technology stack to execute all our business functions in the company. And by the time when all other sanctions have arrived, we have already solved this problem. More than that, our IT director, CIO, Alexander Aksutik, is now conducting workshops explaining how the IT service of a large company should act if unexpectedly it appears that some services, products or technologies that used to be available in the past to become unavailable. So we're actually helping companies that have encountered themselves in this situation for the first time. What about regarding the hardware? We got an answer from you. But what about knowledge, intelligence sharing? Any problems? Yes, there are problems. Let me give you an answer. There are two areas. One that hasn't been mentioned is about talent and people. Aren't we losing the people now? Now, our statistic is such that after the 24th of February, of 1,200 employees, we got 35 people that went on remote work, of which a few left the company. Also, we are talking with teams of such companies as AMD, Intel, Palo Alto, what Max has mentioned in his presentation. And we see a lot of people, a lot of super talented professionals and managers from mid-level to top, who in other circumstances would not have been looking for work. We wouldn't have been able to gain access to them. But now, for the reason that the main company has left Russia and they can't leave the country because of family reasons, they are now able to join us. And the second part is the one affecting the entire industry and civilization, I would put it this way. We've got the process of data sharing about vulnerabilities in the industry. So how did it look in the past? The positive technology has a lot of hackers involved, and I myself was one. So we find a vulnerability, let's say in an Intel solution, we send information to Intel, Intel fixes it, says thank you, and shares this information with all the monitoring services, and everybody all customers get some listing. Everybody's happy. The vulnerability has been fixed. Now the situation looks like this. We are sending a vulnerability, but from the other side, the Russian companies, this update, it doesn't arrive there. So this sanction question is there, and a simple answer as to how to restructure this process, because what's happening is an absolute evil. So everybody is suffering, including the vendors. I'm hoping that some mechanism will be found so as to continue this dialogue in some way. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else from the room? One comment and one question. The comment is about the capitalization of the company. You said that the PE ratio is 29. On the other hand, the company is growing very fast. How to bring this together? There's a simple ratio, PE over G. In this case, it's 0.3, and the company is considered to be expensive if it's more than unity, more than one. So I think that there's an X3 gap to fair value. Thank you. And my question is, as far as I remember, out of my memory, the number of large enterprises as a percentage of total number of companies, 80, 90%, and at the same time, you are growing, you're planning to have an X2, X3 growth. How to find the number of enterprises that would sustain this growth? So either you're going to grow the price of your products or go into other markets. I haven't quite got. Well, I haven't mentioned all the growth drivers for the company. The number of solvent customers that you called large enterprises is indeed our target segment. Of course, their number is limited. If you take any ranking for capitalization, for instance, like RA 500, you'll see that 90% of this list are already positive customers. Last year we had 80, then 85, now it's 90. So there's no more room to grow in terms of the number of customers. They're already our customers. So the answer to your question is like this. We have new products. We are expanding the number of products that we sell to each customer. That's one thing. Second, we are expanding the installation base of each product within this customer. So, for instance, the customer has 10,000 nodes. We've sold them MaxPath and CM for 5,000 nodes, and we have a growth potential of another 5,000 nodes within this company, this customer. That's an answer number 2 for this growth. Answer number 3. Technologies of the positive meta product level, O2, are products of a different level. These are the products that we don't see in the world market now. And if you talk about business, these are products of a different price category. So Positive is not only playing in the product segments of the IT security market, but we are also expanding this market in itself through the emergence of new ideas, products, and technologies. It's due to this that we are going to have the growth potential for the next 5 years at least. And coming back to my thought, our international ambition, we're not losing them. In any event, we are matching them with reality, and we believe that the products that have been developed and have been used in the country during this period of a high number of attacks has also become a competitive advantage for us. It's clear that we're not going to work in all markets, but at least for those that work with Russia. On the level of rumors, I heard a theory why Turkey buying S-400. Because when they got those F-35s, the US-made system did not work, did not start to shoot at them. Either there was no technical capability or they were blocked. So we basically see a demand for this cyber sovereignty, as we call it, digital independence, that we have made the key topic of this forum. And this, in our opinion, defines a huge potential, export potential of Russian technologies. And it's not even my own opinion, it's an expert community opinion. Worldwide, there are 3 countries that are capable of solving information security problems in full stack, effectively and efficiently: the US, Israel, and Russia. The potential demand for digital sovereignty is very high. So whether we are able to implement this, this is a challenge. This is what drives us. Let's wait and see. A brief question from the chat. What's the probability of your shares getting into some index? The answer, it is high. Stay tuned. And I think next month or 2, you'll learn which indices Positive has become part of. Any questions from the floor? Yes, I have 2 questions. They're more technology related. It's about the goal of making inadmissible impossible. And again, you were saying that 2,000 hackers, you want to replace them with a piece of software that is going to check if the system is breakable. Is it possible to theoretically check that the system is unbreakable? It's a good question. I think we already gave an answer, but I repeat. Quite often they tell us it's a good goal. I'm sorry. Yeah, the answer is just one. This can be only achieved through cyber exercises. You won't be able to check the protectedness. Like, for instance, Positive has built a system for you, and so you define those inadmissible events. And then you say, go and show me on the infrastructure that it's impossible to break these. So you're not happy with Positive, call Kaspersky, call Bison, and check. You didn't manage to do it once, or they didn't manage to do it twice or 3 times. That's good. The standoff operates 365 days a year. You can take part of your infrastructure there so that hackers could test it non-stop for vulnerabilities. Only practice can verify the impossibility of a result. That's why we call this story practical security, because it's not a certificate from the regulator that everything is protected. It doesn't work this way. In real life, it has to be tested. Yaroslav told us today that we have launched, or maybe are launching, tomorrow we're launching the Bug Bounty platform. So is Bug Bounty. It's when you say, dear world, if you are able to fix our source code and it'll get to the first customer, we're going to pay you $1 million. We've tested, then we got that million or didn't, and now we're going to pay 10,000 or 100,000. So this is the development of this idea of cyber exercises in crowdsourcing with growing remuneration for the result. Okay, I got it. Thank you. So the probability is not 100%, but in practical terms, if you've passed through cyber exercises, it's proof that's very hard to break. So let's. We have this idea that the first level of preparedness for attacks is through conducting cyber exercises, attracting some professional white hacker organization. Then, so it's only through experience. And I wouldn't like to operate with probability. Okay, my second question is about this. If we have expensive equipment that saves us from some specific problems, does it make sense to create products that are going to be cheaper? For instance, we are not installing some chip, but we protect against, let's say, 90% of hazards. Does it make sense to offer such products? Do you do anything like this? Well, I haven't quite. Let me take this question. I think I got the question. Look, the concept of information security 2.0 meta products is not about percentage at all. So assessing the success in percentage terms is exactly the blind alley that the industry has been operating in all these past years. So our idea is to make it so that that limited number of inadmissible events should become impossible. So for they're specific for a specific company, and all the security tools, all the technology stack and solutions will be focused on not allowing these events to happen. If anybody is going to change the landing page on the website, for some businesses it's not a problem, but for some it is a problem. And it's this that we're talking about, so that these inadmissible events should not happen, and the whole system should be focused on that. And all these external tests that we've been mentioning through attracting external hackers to test it, they should all be formulated in this context. I think I've got the question. That is, I helped you to formulate the question once again, right? You were not answering the question that they asked. Look, how I understood the question. You said, if there's a goal and you have expensive technologies that allow you to achieve that, does it make sense to buy some niche products? Is it this that you talk to provide for protection that would not show you 100%, but do it 90%? I got the question correctly. That's what I always tell to say to positive salespeople. See, the topic of information security 2.0 to set the goal as to make inadmissible events impossible. This is the thermonuclear theme, because if you've sold this goal to the customer, I say sold in the good sense of the word, be prepared to them throwing out all the previous budgets for information security. They'll say, if it's my goal to make inadmissible events impossible, why am I buying these systems that are not leading me to this goal? So let me stop all these purchases that I've been doing before, and let me use the budget to achieve this goal. And we actually find this situation quite often. I mean, positive salespeople, we are for business, and I'm also for business, even though I'm mostly for sense and meaning. So I always say, hey, think 100 times before you do it. If you want to achieve this meaning, you have to do it in a thorough way, in a non-disruptive way. So the customers also arrive there. There's also a bottom-up approach which is used by one of our competitors. They're using the word cyber immunity. Like, for instance, you have to brush your teeth in the morning, wash your hands. It'll make your life better. Will it make my life better? It will, for sure. But will it leave the door open for bad things? It will. It's up to every one of you to choose the way you're going to go. If you say we're going to install these systems and it will improve our life, then frankly, you'll be answering questions that inadmissible inadmissible. The questions will still be possible in your situation. The hacker, once setting a goal, will be able to get into your system and do whatever you don't like the most. Yes, you'll get protected from school children, but you're not going to get protected from a targeted attack. And actually, you shouldn't forget that our target segment is large B2Bs, large enterprises. Other risks are... So, for instance, there are certain risks that any serious organization can admit. Like, for instance, a power plant will not allow a catastrophe happen. So for non-critical companies, what you said could be a strategy, but our strategy is just like we've described because of our specificity. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I suggest to take one or two questions more from the room, and okay, you've already asked. So most products run either on a Windows operating system or open source like Debian, TAF to CM, for instance. Do you plan to set some other trend? Well, we're now migrating to Linux. Look, I think, so what's the technology question? Yes, indeed. Our products, we have products that have been migrated to Linux. Everything that could be migrated has been. As to the Russian operating system, I would like this trend to kind of develop because we have products working on Astra Linux that's used in Russia quite a lot in government organizations. And of course, we keep supporting that. But if we see, get a clearer vision of a new platform that is going to become prevalent in Russia, we're going to support it as well. Another question. You had a question, right? No, I can't hear you. Yes, one more question. Look, I haven't seen in your presentation, among the numbers that you showed, you named the total addressable market size at 270 billion rubles. Does the company has a goal to control some market share, specific 10 or 20% or 30% of the market? The top goal is there, and it even projects down to positive sales plan. The sales plan is larger than the plan of the department. The sum of department plans is larger than the company plan. We set the target at the sales level at 50% of the budget of our customers. We say, of what the customer is spending on information security, positive with our product line should collect more than half. And if we're talking about a strategy at the level of the total Russian market, our midterm strategy, not for this year, maybe 3 years down the road, is 30% of the Russian market. I must say that there are a number of segments, technology segments in the Russian market for which Positive doesn't have products and doesn't even have plans to get such products. And these are quite large segments. For instance, the largest one is crypto gateways. Positive does not intend to do crypto gateways. It's a traditional segment, it's well regulated, and so on and so forth. Positive builds products for the result. We have set the result of do an autopilot in cybersecurity. We see what technologies are missing for this to happen, and we're going to develop these technologies. Okay, thank you. With this, let's wrap up. Thank you all very much. Thank you for joining us. This was a session for cybersecurity in Positive. For some reason, the only public company in Moscow Stock Exchange in this sector. Many thanks to all the speakers that have presented all the aspects of our company's operation, from R&D to sales and finance. Many thanks to you, dear attendees, for also for our online audience, and we had more than 500 people joining us online. Thank you all very much for the interest that you've shown to our company. Have a good day.